Woman cleans out father's barn after his death, and the surprise under the hay changed her life. Emily Johnson wiped away tears as she looked at the old barn on the farm where she grew up. Her father, Robert Johnson, had passed away a week ago, leaving her alone with her sick mother and a property full of memories that needed sorting. It was while stepping into the barn, abandoned for over 20 years, that she stumbled upon a loose floorboard. When trying to fix it, she discovered it hid a secret compartment with a dusty wooden box. "Mom, do you know what this is?" asked Emily, entering the house with the box in her hands. Mrs. Linda was sitting in the living room armchair, knitting a scarf she never finished since becoming a widow. Upon seeing the box, her hands trembled, and the knitting needles fell to the floor. "Where did you find this, dear?" "In the barn. There was a hole under the floorboards. Are you okay? You've gone pale." Mrs. Linda stood up slowly and walked to the window, turning her back to Emily. "Some things from the past should stay buried, Emily. Your father always said that." "But, Mom, it could be important. What if it's something he wanted me to find?" "No, dear. Burn that box and forget it ever existed." Emily looked at her mother with confusion. She had never seen her so nervous. Mrs. Linda had always been a woman of faith, calm, facing problems with serenity. But now she seemed haunted by something. "Mom, you're scaring me. What's in this box that's so terrible?" "Promise me you'll burn it, Emily. Promise." Her mother's insistence only fueled Emily's curiosity. She nodded her head, but inside she knew she couldn't resist. As soon as Mrs. Linda went up to her room, Emily opened the box. Inside were 3 letters yellowed with time, all sealed and addressed to names she had never heard. To Michael Johnson, to Sarah Johnson, and to Daniel Johnson. At the bottom of the box, a faded photo showed her father when he was young, smiling next to 3 children she didn't recognize. Emily felt the floor move beneath her feet. Johnson was her father's last name, but she always believed she was an only child. Who were these people? Why did her father keep these letters a secret? Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now, continuing. That night, Emily couldn't sleep. She stared at the letters until dawn, trying to find the courage to open them. When the sun rose, she heard a groan coming from her mother's room. "Mom, are you okay?" Emily rushed to the room and found Mrs. Linda unconscious on the floor. At the hospital, the doctors said it was a spike in blood pressure caused by emotional stress. Mrs. Linda was conscious but refused to talk about what had happened. "Dear, you opened that box, didn't you?" whispered her mother, holding Emily's hand. "No, Mom. I promised I'd burn it." "Don't lie to me, Emily. I saw it in your eyes yesterday. You saw the letters." Emily sighed. There was no use lying to someone who knew her so well. "Yes, I did. But I didn't understand any of it. Who are Michael, Sarah, and Daniel Johnson? Why did Dad keep these letters?" Mrs. Linda closed her eyes, and a tear rolled down her face. "Your father made me promise never to tell. He said it was better this way." "Better for whom, Mom? I have the right to know." "For everyone, dear, for everyone." Emily spent 3 days visiting her mother in the hospital, but Mrs. Linda remained firm in her silence. Frustrated, Emily decided to look for answers elsewhere. She remembered Mr. George, her father's best friend since their youth. Mr. George's house was on the same street where Emily grew up. He was watering the plants in the backyard when she arrived. "Emily, my dear, how are you? I'm so sorry for Robert's passing. He was like a brother to me." "Thank you, Mr. George. Actually, I came here because I need some information about my father." The man's face changed immediately. He dropped the hose and wiped his hands on his apron. "What kind of information?" Emily showed him the letters and the photo. Mr. George looked at the envelopes as if he were seeing ghosts. "Where did you find these?" "In the barn." "Mr. George, do you know who these people are?" The man sighed deeply and motioned for her to sit on the wooden bench under the tree. "Emily, there are some things it's better not to know. Everyone says that, but I can't go on living without knowing the truth." Mr. George remained silent for a few minutes, looking at his hands. "Your father wasn't always married only to your mother, Emily. The words hit Emily like a punch to the stomach. What do you mean? Before he met Mrs. Linda, Robert was married to a woman named Rebecca. They had 3 children, Michael, Sarah, and Daniel. Emily felt as if the world was spinning around her. I have siblings? You did, my dear. I don't know if you still do. What happened to them? Mr. George stood up and began pacing back and forth. Rebecca found out Robert was sending money to help his sister, who was going through hard times. She thought he was spending too much on others and not thinking about his own family. They started arguing a lot. And then? One day, Rebecca took the children and left. She left just a note saying Robert had to choose between his family or his sister. When Robert got home from work, they were gone. Emily felt her legs trembling. She leaned against the wall to keep from falling. And my father never saw his children again? He tried to find them for years, Emily, but Rebecca had relatives in other states. She just disappeared with the children. Why did he never tell me this? Because when he met your mother and you were born, he wanted to start a new life. He thought talking about the past would only bring suffering to everyone. Emily opened one of the letters with trembling hands. Her father's handwriting was faded, but still readable. My dear Michael, I know you must be angry with your dad, but I want you to know that not a day goes by that I don't think of you and your siblings. If you ever receive this letter, know that I always loved you very much, and that everything I did was with your best interests in mind. Tears streamed down Emily's face. Her father had suffered in silence all these years. Mr. George, do you know where they are now? I have no idea, my dear. That was over 30 years ago. Emily returned home determined to find her siblings. For the first time in her life, she felt she had an important mission. She couldn't let the family remain separated. When she got home, she found an envelope under the door. It was from the hospital, informing her that her mother had suffered another blood pressure spike and needed to stay hospitalized for a few more days. At the hospital, Emily found her mother weaker but awake. Dear, you went to see Mr. George, didn't you? How did you know? Because I know you, and I know George. He could never keep a secret from Robert. Mum, why did you hide this from me? I have siblings. Mrs. Linda began to cry. Because your father made me promise, Emily. He thought it was better for you to grow up without knowing. He said he didn't want you to suffer thinking about a family you might never find. But I have the right to try. I know, dear. I know. Now that he's gone, you can do what you think is best. Emily held her mother's hand. Do you forgive me for opening the box? There's nothing to forgive, dear. In fact, I think your father wanted you to find it. If he hadn't, he would have hidden it better. That night, Emily returned to the barn and examined the compartment where she found the box. She noticed there were more loose boards. Upon removing one, she discovered another space with more documents. They were bank deposit receipts made out to M. Johnson, S. Johnson, and D. Johnson. The deposits were monthly and had been made for over 20 years, until 2 years before her father's passing. Emily felt her heart race. Her father had never stopped caring for his other children. He had been sending money anonymously every month. On the back of one receipt, there was an address written in pencil: 247 Blossom Street, Hope District, Savannah. Emily didn't hesitate. The next day, she took the bus to Savannah, a town 2 hours away. The address led to a simple house on a dirt road. But when she rang the bell, an elderly woman answered and said the Johnson family had moved away more than 5 years ago. Do you know where they went? Asked Emily. No, dear. They lost the house and had to leave. It was very sad. They were good people. Do you remember the names? Michael, Sarah, Daniel? Yes. Michael worked as a janitor at a school nearby, but after they lost the house, he went to work in Charleston. Sarah, poor thing, was very shaken. I think she went to live with relatives. And Daniel, he disappeared a long time ago. No one knew where he was. Emily thanked her and headed to Charleston. After asking at several schools, she finally found Michael working as a janitor at St. Patrick's School. When she saw him, her heart raced. Even though he was nearly 50, he had the same eyes as her father in the old photo. Michael was sweeping the courtyard when Emily approached. Excuse me, are you Michael Johnson? He stopped sweeping and looked at her suspiciously. "Who wants to know?" "My name is Emily, Emily Johnson. I'm Robert Johnson's daughter." Michael dropped the broom on the ground. His face hardened. "I don't want to talk to you. Please, just listen to me. I found some letters." "I don't care. That man was never a father to me." "But he sent money for you all. I found the receipts." Michael stopped and slowly turned around. "What money?" "Every month for 20 years. Bank deposits for you, Sarah, and Daniel." "You're lying. We never received anything." Emily showed him the receipts. Michael took the papers with trembling hands. "I don't understand. Where did this money come from?" "From our father. He never stopped taking care of you." Michael sat on a nearby bench as if his legs could no longer support him. "But we never knew where it came from. My mother always said it was from a distant relative who preferred to remain anonymous." "It was our father, Michael. He never forgot you." "If he never forgot, why did he never come looking for us?" "Because your mother told him he had to choose. He respected her decision." Michael remained silent for several long minutes. Then he stood up and handed the papers back to Emily. "Even so, I don't want to know. He abandoned us when we needed him most." "He didn't abandon you, Michael. Your mother took you away. And he let her. A real father would have come after us." Emily felt tears in her eyes. "Where are Sarah and Daniel? I'd like to meet them." "Sarah is in a place for people with mental health issues. She never recovered from everything we went through. And Daniel, I have no idea where he is. He disappeared when he was 17. Please tell me where Sarah is. I want to meet my sister." Michael hesitated. "She won't recognize you. She doesn't recognize anyone anymore." "Even so." "St. Elizabeth's Rest Home in Pittsburgh." "But don't say I told you." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out, now continuing. Emily arrived in Pittsburgh late in the afternoon. St. Elizabeth's Rest Home was a simple place but clean and organized. At the reception, a middle-aged nurse attended to her. "I'm here to visit Sarah Johnson." "Are you a relative?" "I'm her sister." The nurse looked at Emily with surprise. "That's wonderful. She never gets visitors, but I must warn you, Sarah has severe mental problems. She lives in her own world." "Can I see her anyway?" "Of course. Come with me." Sarah was sitting in a rocking chair in the garden, staring into space. She had grey hair and a face marked by suffering. When Emily approached, she looked up. "Daddy," whispered Sarah. Emily felt her heart break. "No, Sarah. I'm Emily, your sister. Daddy is coming back. He promised he would come back. Sarah, our father, he's gone, but he never forgot you. He comes here often. He brings me flowers. Haven't you seen?" The nurse approached Emily. "She talks about her father constantly. It's the only thing that calms her." Emily knelt in front of Sarah and held her hands. "Sarah, I found some letters that Daddy wrote to you. Would you like me to read them?" Sarah's eyes lit up for a moment. "Letters from Daddy?" Emily opened one of the letters and began to read with a choked voice. "My dear Sarah, you were always the most affectionate daughter a father could have. I remember how you cared for the rag doll your grandmother made. I hope you're still the sweet girl you were when you were little." Sarah began to cry. "He remembers my doll. He remembers." "Of course he remembers, Sarah. He loved you very much." Emily spent 2 hours with Sarah, reading the letters and talking about their father. When she left, Sarah was calmer than the nurse had seen in years. Back at the farm, Emily found her mother at home, already recovered from the hospital. "So, daughter, did you find your siblings?" Emily told everything she had discovered. Mrs. Linda cried upon learning about Sarah's condition. "Poor girl, your father always blamed himself for that. Mom, I need to find Daniel. Michael said he disappeared when he was 17. "And how will you do that? So many years have passed." Emily went back to the barn and searched every corner looking for more clues. At the bottom of an old trunk, she found an old phone book of her father's. Under the letter D, it was noted, "Daniel, last known, working in construction, Philadelphia." Philadelphia was a large city in the metropolitan area of New York. Emily knew it would be like looking for a needle in a haystack, but she wouldn't give up. She spent a whole week calling construction companies in Philadelphia, asking if they knew Daniel Johnson. Most of the time, the answer was negative. Until one secretary said, "Daniel Johnson? I think I've heard that name. Let me check the files." After a few minutes, the secretary returned. "We have a Daniel Johnson who worked here 3 years ago, but he left. He left a contact address, but I don't know if it's still current." "Can you give me the address, please?" "Father Thomas Street, 892, Industrial District." Emily took the next bus to Philadelphia. The address led to a simple boarding house in the city center. The owner of the boarding house, a man about 60 years old, remembered Daniel. "Daniel Johnson. He did live here, but he left about 2 years ago. He said he was going to try his luck in Chicago." "Do you have any contact information for him?" "No, but I remember he talked a lot about a friend named James who worked with him. If I'm not mistaken, this James still lives in the neighborhood." After asking around in a few places, Emily found James at a mechanic's shop. "Daniel Johnson? Of course I remember. He was my work partner, but he did move to Chicago. He said he got a job at a big construction company there. Do you have his phone number?" "Yes, I do, but it's a bit old. I don't know if it still works." James gave the number to Emily. She called immediately from the workshop's own phone. "Hello? Please, I'd like to speak with Daniel Johnson." "Speaking. Who is this?" Emily's heart nearly leaped out of her mouth. "Daniel, my name is Emily Johnson. I'm your sister." There was a long silence on the other end of the line. "Sister? I don't have a sister. I'm the daughter of Robert Johnson. He was your father, too." "Robert Johnson?" Daniel's voice changed. "That name means nothing to me." "Daniel, I found letters he wrote to you. He never forgot. Look, I don't know who you are or what you want, but I don't want to stir up the past. Please just listen to me." "No, and don't call me again." The call was cut off. Emily returned home discouraged. She had found 2 brothers, but one had completely rejected her, and the other was in a very delicate situation. As for Daniel, he seemed to want nothing to do with the past. That night, Emily went back to the barn once more. She was beginning to accept that perhaps she wouldn't be able to reunite the family. But as she removed a few more planks, she found something that changed everything. It was a small safe, buried deep inside. Inside it, there was a sealed envelope with the words, "To be opened only when all my children are reunited, Robert Johnson." There was also a key and a paper with the address of a lawyer in New York. Emily decided to seek out the lawyer the next day. The office was small but well organized. The lawyer, Dr. Henry Baker, was already elderly and about to retire. "Emily Johnson, daughter of Robert Johnson." "Yes, sir. I've been waiting for you for many years." "What do you mean?" Dr. Henry opened an old file. "Your father came to me over 15 years ago. He said he had left some documents hidden on the farm and that one day his children would find them. He asked me to wait until all of you were reunited. But, Doctor, my brothers don't want to be reunited." "Then your mission isn't over yet, Emily. I don't know what else to do. One is hospitalized with mental issues, another rejected me, and the third won't even talk." Dr. Henry leaned back in his chair. "Your father predicted it would be difficult. That's why he left something special to help you." The lawyer handed a sealed letter to Emily. "This letter is just for you. He said that when the time came, you would know what to do." Emily opened the letter with trembling hands. "My dear Emily, if you're reading this letter, it means you've discovered your siblings. I know you must be confused and perhaps angry with me for hiding this, but I want you to know that everything I did was out of love. When your siblings left, I thought it was best to leave things as they were. Your mother agreed to marry me, even knowing about my past, but asked that we never tell you. Now I understand that was a mistake. A family cannot be built on secrets. If you manage to gather everyone, open the larger envelope in the safe. There lies my final wish. With all my love, Dad." Emily left the office more determined than ever. No matter how difficult it was, she would reunite her brothers. She returned to Charleston and looked for Michael at the school. This time, he was in the storage room organizing cleaning supplies. "Michael, I need to speak with you again. I already told you I don't want to know anything. Our father left a letter, to be opened only when all of us are together. So what? What if he left some explanation? What if there are things you don't know? Michael stopped organizing the products. What kind of things? I don't know, but he spent years keeping those letters. There must be a reason. Even if I wanted to, what difference would it make? Sarah isn't in any condition to understand anything, and Daniel doesn't even want to know about us. Sarah has moments of clarity, and as for Daniel, I need to try again. You don't know Daniel. He was always rebellious. When our mother told us our father had abandoned us, he swore he never wanted to hear about him again. But what if you weren't abandoned? What if there was a misunderstanding? Michael looked at Emily with interest for the first time. What misunderstanding? Michael, your father never stopped looking for you. I spoke with Mr. George. He told me the truth. What truth? Emily shared everything she had discovered about their parents' separation and the monthly deposits John made. You think you were abandoned, but in reality your father was caring for you from a distance. He respected your mother's decision, but never let you go without. Michael sat on a cardboard box. Are you sure about this? I have all the receipts. For 20 years, Michael, every month. But why did our mother never tell us? Because she was hurt, and maybe thought it was better this way. Michael remained silent for several minutes. And now, what do you want me to do? I want you to come with me to find Daniel, and then we'll talk to Sarah together. Daniel will never agree to talk. Maybe he will, if he knows you also want to speak with him. Michael sighed. All right, but if he doesn't want to listen, I'm giving up for good. Emily felt a wave of hope. For the first time, one of her siblings was willing to try. The next day, Emily and Michael traveled to Chicago. Daniel had given a work address during the last call, and they managed to locate him at a construction site downtown. Daniel was operating machinery when they arrived. He was a strong man, about 40 years old, with the same determined jaw as his father. When he saw Michael, his expression changed completely. Michael, what are you doing here? Daniel, we need to talk. If it's about that woman who called me, I already said I don't want to know. This woman is our sister, Daniel. Daniel looked at Emily more carefully. Sister? Our father's daughter, with his second wife, explained Michael. So what does that change? It changes that she discovered things we should probably know. Daniel stopped the machine and climbed down. What kind of things? Emily showed the letters and deposit receipts. Daniel read everything in silence. Where was this money coming from? From our father, said Michael. He sent it to us every month. But my mother always said it was from a distant uncle. That's what she told you, but it was him who sent it. Daniel sat on a pile of lumber. Why did she lie? Because she was hurt by him, explained Emily. She thought he cared more about others than his own family. And you think that justifies him abandoning us? Daniel, he didn't abandon you. Your mother left with you. And he let her. Because she said he had to choose, he respected her decision. Daniel stared at the letters for a long time. Even if this is true, it doesn't change the fact that we grew up without a father. But would it change if you knew he never stopped loving you? Asked Emily. What do you want from us? I want us to be a family, to get to know each other, to open the letter Dad left for all of us. Daniel looked at Michael. And you? What do you think about this? I think we've already wasted too much time. Maybe it's time to know the truth. Daniel sighed deeply. All right. But if this is another disappointment, I disappear for good and you'll never find me again. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out, now continuing. The three siblings returned together to Virginia. First, they went to visit Sarah at St. Elizabeth's Rest Home. When she saw Michael and Daniel, her eyes filled with tears. My brothers, you came to get me. Yes, we did, Sarah, said Michael, hugging her. And Daddy? Where is Dad? Emily knelt in front of Sarah. Sarah, Dad has passed away, but he left a letter for all of us. A letter from Dad. Yes. But we can only open it if we are all together. Sarah looked at her 3 siblings. All together. Like before. That's right, Sarah. Like before. The nurse managed to get special permission for Sarah to leave for a few hours. The 4 siblings headed to the farm where Mrs. Linda was waiting for them. "Oh my goodness," said Emily's mother upon seeing Robert's 3 children. "You look just like him." Michael approached Mrs. Linda. "Are you our father's second wife?" "Yes, I am, my child, and I apologize for hiding you from Emily. Your father thought it was for the best." "Did you know about the deposits he made?" Mrs. Linda lowered her head. "Yes, I did, and I even argued with him about it sometimes. I thought he was spending too much on you and forgetting about our family." "You argued? Your father would be sad for days, my child. He would cry in secret thinking about you. I could see he was suffering, but I didn't know how to help." Daniel, who had remained silent, finally spoke. "Did he really miss us?" "He missed you so much that he got sick several times. He developed a stomach ulcer from worrying so much about you." Sarah approached Mrs. Linda. "Do you have pictures of Dad?" "I have several, my dear. Would you like to see them?" Mrs. Linda showed an album with pictures of Robert from his youth to his later years. Sarah touched each photo as if it were a treasure. "He got old," she said sadly. "Yes, he did, Sarah, but he never stopped talking about you." Emily brought the sealed envelope she had found in the safe. "Now that we are all together, we can open Dad's letter." The 4 siblings sat in the living room, and Emily carefully opened the envelope. Inside was a long letter and an official document. Emily began to read aloud. "My dear children, Michael, Sarah, Daniel, and Emily, if you are reading this letter together, it means Emily managed to find you, and you decided to reunite. You cannot imagine the happiness this would bring me if I were still alive. I want to explain to you what really happened so many years ago. When Rebecca left with Michael, Sarah, and Daniel, I tried to go after you. I searched in several cities, even hired a private investigator. But Rebecca had asked the relatives not to reveal where you were. After 2 years of searching, a friend told me he had seen you in a small town. When I got there, I spoke with Rebecca. She said you were doing well, and that it was better for me not to show up anymore. She said you hated me, and that my presence would only bring more suffering. I accepted her condition of not searching anymore, but with one condition. She had to agree that I would send money every month to help with your expenses. Rebecca agreed, but asked me not to say the money came from me. For 20 years, I sent money every month. I only stopped when I learned you were already adults and independent. I never stopped loving you. I never stopped thinking about you. And I never forgave myself for not fighting harder to bring you back. Michael, you were always the most responsible. I remember how you took care of your younger siblings. I hope you became the man I knew you would be. Sarah, my affectionate girl, you were always the light of the house. I hope you found the happiness you deserve. Daniel, my most stubborn son, you always wanted to do things your way. I hope you managed to achieve your dreams. And Emily, my youngest daughter, you were the joy of my last years. Thank you for taking care of your mother and for finding your siblings. Now, about my last wish. I leave the farm to be divided equally among all my children, but I ask that you do not sell it. This land holds the history of our family. I hope you can use this place to reconnect and create new memories together. With all my eternal love, Robert Johnson." Everyone was crying when Emily finished reading. Even Daniel, who had remained strong throughout the whole process, couldn't hold back his tears. "He really loved us," whispered Michael. "Always did," confirmed Mrs. Linda. Sarah got up and walked to the window that faced the barn. "Can I go to the place where he hid the letters?" "Of course, Sarah. Let's all go." In the barn, Sarah knelt in the spot where the secret compartment was. She ran her hands over the planks, as if feeling her father's presence. "He was always here, wasn't he?" she asked. "What do you mean?" asked Emily. "I feel him here. He came here to think about us." Mrs. Linda confirmed. "She's right. Robert spent hours in this barn, especially on your birthdays. He said he felt closer to you here." Daniel approached the spot and also knelt. "Dad, I'm sorry for being angry. I didn't know." Michael put his hand on his brother's shoulder. None of us knew, Daniel, but now we do. Emily looked at her 3 siblings and felt that the family was finally complete. What do you think about turning this barn into a special place, a place where we can always gather? What kind of place? Asked Michael. I don't know. Something that honors Daddy's memory and keeps us united. Sarah clapped her hands, excited. A family house, a place just for us. That's a good idea, Daniel agreed. But what about the money? Renovating this will be expensive. We have the money Daddy left, said Emily. According to the lawyer, besides the farm, he left some savings. How much? Asked Michael. Enough to renovate not just the barn, but the main house too. In the following days, the siblings began planning the renovations. Sarah, in her moments of clarity, gave creative ideas. Michael, with his practical experience, helped with the technical side. Daniel used his construction knowledge to make the budget, and Emily coordinated everything. A week later, the work began. They decided to turn the barn into a family house, with a large room where they could gather, a kitchen to share meals, and a bedroom for when Sarah came to visit. During the work, they discovered more surprises hidden by their father. Inside the walls, they found photos of the children at different ages that he had obtained without their knowledge. There were also letters he wrote but never sent, full of love and longing. How did he get these photos? Asked Daniel, looking at a picture of himself at 20. Mrs. Linder explained, Your father hired a private investigator, not just to find you, but to know how you were doing. The investigator took photos from a distance and sent them to him. Robert kept them all very carefully. He was spying on us? Asked Michael. He was watching over you in the only way he could, corrected Mrs. Linder. Sarah held one of the unsent letters. Emily, can you read this one to me? Emily opened the letter and read, Sarah, my girl, today is your 15th birthday. I wish so much I could be there to give you a hug. I hope you received many presents and that you are very happy. I love you more than words can express. He remembered our birthdays, said Sarah, moved. He remembered everything, confirmed Mrs. Linder. He would be sad all day on your birthdays. The work took 2 months to complete. When it was finished, the barn had been transformed into a cozy space full of love. The walls were decorated with the photos their father had secretly kept, and the unsent letters were framed and scattered throughout the house. On the inauguration day, the 4 siblings gathered for the first time as a complete family. Sarah was having one of her best days, lucid and happy. Michael had taken time off from work. Daniel had traveled from Chicago, especially for the event, and Emily felt she had finally accomplished the mission her father had left for her. I think Dad would be proud, said Michael, looking around. He definitely would be, agreed Daniel. Mrs. Linder prepared a special lunch with all of Robert's favorite dishes. During the meal, each shared childhood stories and memories. Remember when Dad took us fishing at the river? Asked Sarah. I do, said Michael. Daniel fell into the water, and Dad had to jump in to save him. I didn't fall, I slipped, defended Daniel, laughing. Emily listened to the stories attentively, trying to get to know her father through her siblings' eyes. And do you remember anything about when I was born? Asked Emily. The 3 siblings fell silent. Actually, said Michael, we left before you were born. But Dad used to talk about you to our mother, added Sarah. I overheard him once on the phone. He said he had another daughter and that she was beautiful. Even when you were apart, he talked about me. Yes, he did, confirmed Daniel. I think he wanted you to meet us. After lunch, they went to Robert's grave. It was the first time Michael, Sarah, and Daniel had visited the cemetery. Hi, Dad, said Sarah, kneeling in front of the headstone. We've come to visit you all together. Father, said Michael, thank you for never giving up on us. Sorry for being angry for so long, said Daniel. Emily placed the letters her father had written on top of the grave. Dad, we managed to meet. The family is reunited again. They stayed there for an hour, each making peace with the past. When they returned to the farm, they found a surprise. Rebecca, Robert's first wife, was waiting at the door. She looked noticeably older and more fragile, leaning on a cane. Upon seeing her children, she began to cry. My children, you've grown so much. Mother? Asked Michael. How did you know we were here? A neighbor from Savannah told me a young lady was looking for you. I knew this day would come. Daniel approached his mother cautiously. Why did you never tell the truth about the deposits? Rebecca sighed deeply. Because I was hurt, my son, and proud. I thought if I said the money came from your father, you'd want to go back to him. And what was wrong with that? Asked Sarah. Because I was afraid of losing you. You were all I had. Michael held his mother's hand. Mother, you weren't going to lose us. We would always love you. I know that now, son, but back then I was blinded by anger and hurt. Emily approached Rebecca. Mrs. Rebecca, I'm Emily, Mr. Robert and Mrs. Linda's daughter. I know who you are, dear, and I want to thank you. Thank me? For bringing my children together, for uncovering the truth, for doing what I should have done long ago. Mrs. Linda came out of the house and approached Rebecca. The two women looked at each other in silence for a moment. Rebecca, said Mrs. Linda, Linda, you took good care of him. I tried, but he never stopped loving you all. I know, and I deeply regret being so proud. The two women embraced, finally making peace. Rebecca stayed at the farm for 3 days. During that time, she told her children things about their father they didn't know and apologized for lying about the deposits. Mother, said Daniel, what are you going to do now? I'll go back home. But now I know you know the truth, and that gives me peace. You can come visit us whenever you want, said Emily. This house belongs to all of us. Thank you, dear. You have a good heart, just like your father's. On Rebecca's last day at the farm, the 4 siblings decided to pay a special tribute to their father. They planted a tree in the spot where he had hidden the letters, and each wrote a letter to him. What do you think about doing this every year? Suggested Emily. On Dad's birthday. That's a good idea, agreed Michael. I liked it, said Sarah. Deal, said Daniel. Over the months, the siblings established a routine of meeting at the farm. Michael came on weekends. Daniel visited at least once a month. Sarah began staying at the farm for a few weeks at a time, always accompanied by a caregiver. One day, while organizing their father's belongings in the main house's attic, Emily found one last surprise, a photo album with a letter stuck to the cover. What's this? Asked Michael. Emily read the letter aloud. If you've found this album, it means you've truly become a united family. This album tells the story of all of you, even when you were apart. Every photo here was taken with much love and longing. Now you can create a new album with pictures of you together. With eternal love, Dad. The album contained hundreds of photos, of the first 3 children as kids, of Emily growing up, and even some pictures the investigator had taken of the siblings as adults. He documented our whole lives, said Daniel, moved. Even from a distance, he never stopped being our father, added Michael. On the last page of the album, there was a photo none of them had seen before. Robert smiling in the barn, holding one of the letters he had written. When did he take this? Asked Sarah. Mrs. Linda looked at the photo carefully. I think it was on Daniel's last birthday. He spent the whole day in the barn writing letters. He said that one day you would understand. Emily held the photo tenderly. He knew that one day we would find each other. How could he know? Asked Daniel. Because a father's love never gives up, replied Mrs. Linda. 6 months after the first reunion, the siblings decided to turn part of the farm into a social project. With guidance from Dr. Henry, the lawyer, they created a foundation to help separated families reunite. I think this is what Dad would have wanted, said Emily during the meeting to finalize the project details. Definitely, agreed Michael. He suffered for years because of the separation. The foundation started small, helping only a few families in the region, but over time it began to grow. Daniel left his job in Chicago and came to handle the administrative part. Michael continued working as a caretaker, but dedicated his weekends to the project. Sarah, on her good days, helped by organizing documents. On the first anniversary of discovering the letters, the siblings threw a party at the farm. They invited Mr. George, Dr. Henry, the nurses from St. Elizabeth's Rest Home, and several families who had been helped by the foundation. A year ago, I was alone, said Emily during her speech. Today I have 3 siblings, a mother who loves me, and a family that grows every day. "And all because you didn't give up," said Michael. "I didn't give up because I learned from Dad that love never gives up." Sarah, who was having a particularly lucid day, stood up to speak. "I want to thank Emily for finding us. For a long time, I thought Dad had forgotten us. Now I know he never forgot. And I know he's happy seeing all of us together." Daniel, who rarely showed emotion, wiped away a tear. "I also want to apologize to everyone. I was angry for a long time, but now I understand that anger only hurts ourselves." Dr. Henry approached the siblings. "Your father would be very proud to see what you've built. The foundation has already helped more than 50 families reunite." "And it's just the beginning," said Emily. During the party, a woman approached Emily. "Sorry to interrupt, but I wanted to thank you." "For what?" "Your foundation helped me find my sister after 15 years apart. Our parents divorced when we were children, and each of us stayed with one. We never had contact again until you helped us." Emily felt her heart warm. "I'm very happy to hear that. You're doing the work God intended for you." When the party ended and everyone left, the 4 siblings sat in the barn, which was now decorated with photos of the reunited family. "I think we did it," said Emily. "Did what?" asked Daniel. "Honored Daddy's memory. We showed that his love wasn't in vain." "And that love always wins," added Sarah. Michael looked around the barn. "You know, I think he's here with us." "How so?" asked Emily. "I feel his presence, as if he's smiling at us." "I feel it too," said Sarah. "Maybe it's because we finally understood the lesson he wanted to teach us," said Daniel. "What lesson?" asked Emily. "That family isn't just who lives in the same house. Family is who carries you in their heart, even from a distance." Emily looked at her 3 siblings and smiled, "and that it's never too late to start over." That night, for the first time in decades, the 4 children of Robert Johnson slept under the same roof. Emily in her usual room, Michael in the guest room, Daniel on the living room couch because he insisted it was comfortable, and Sarah in the special room they had prepared for her in the barn. Mrs. Linda, before going to sleep, looked out the window and saw a soft light in the barn. She smiled, knowing that the family was finally complete. 2 years later, the foundation had become a national reference in family reunification. Emily had left her job to dedicate herself full-time to the project. Michael had been promoted to cleaning coordinator at the school and used his experience to help organize the foundation. Daniel had opened a small construction company specializing in renovations for needy families. And Sarah, although still with health issues, had increasingly better days and helped whenever she could. Rebecca moved to a house near the farm and visited her children regularly. She and Mrs. Linda had become friends, united by the love they both felt for the Johnson family. On a Sunday afternoon, while the whole family was gathered in the barn preparing dinner, Sarah asked a question that made everyone thoughtful. "If you could say one last thing to Daddy, what would it be?" Michael answered first. "I would say, thank you for never giving up on us." Daniel added, "I would say, sorry for taking so long to understand." Emily thought for a moment. "I would say, thank you for teaching me that true love overcomes any obstacle." Sarah smiled. "I would say, Daddy, we managed to be happy together again." At that moment, a gentle breeze came through the window, swaying the curtains and spreading the scent of the garden flowers. Everyone felt as if someone had passed by, leaving a feeling of peace and completeness. "I think he heard," whispered Emily. "He definitely heard," agreed Michael. 10 years had passed since the day Emily found the first box in the barn. The Robert Johnson Foundation had helped over 1,000 families reunite. The project had expanded to other states, always maintaining the basic principle: family love never dies. It just sometimes needs to be rediscovered. Emily, now 40, had married a foundation volunteer and had 2 young children. Michael had found love at 50 and lived happily with a teacher from the school where he worked. Daniel had reconciled with an old girlfriend and planned to get married. Sarah, despite her limitations, was stable and contributed to the foundation whenever possible. The barn had become a place of pilgrimage for separated families. People from all over the country came there seeking hope and guidance to reunite with lost relatives. On one wall of the barn, there was a plaque with the words, in memory of Robert Johnson, who taught us that true love never gives up and never forgets. On the last Sunday of each month, the siblings gathered for a special lunch. It was a tradition that had started spontaneously and had remained strong over the years. During one of these lunches, Emily made a special announcement. "Everyone, I have a surprise for you." "What surprise?" asked Michael. "I got a call from a television channel. They want to make a documentary about our story and the foundation." "Really?" asked Daniel. "Very much so. They said our story could inspire thousands of other families." Sarah clapped her hands excitedly. "We're going to be famous." "It's not about being famous, Sarah," explained Emily. "It's about spreading Dad's message, that family love is stronger than any separation." "I think it's a good idea," said Michael. "Me too," agreed Daniel. "If it can help other families, it's worth it." The documentary was filmed over 3 months. The film crew interviewed each of the siblings, Mrs. Linda, Rebecca, Mr. George, Dr. Henry, and dozens of families that had been reunited through the foundation. The most emotional moment of the filming was when the siblings returned to the exact spot where Emily had found the first box. It was still there, now preserved as a symbol of the foundation. "It all started here," Emily told the cameras, "with a loose floorboard and a dusty box. Who would have thought it would change so many lives?" "It wasn't the box that changed our lives," corrected Michael. "It was the love that was kept inside it." The documentary aired on a national network and had a great impact. Thousands of people contacted the foundation seeking help to find lost relatives. Emily realized that her father's mission had expanded far beyond what he could have imagined. What began as a desire to reunite 4 siblings had turned into a national family reunification movement. During the documentary premiere, which was shown in a local cinema, the whole family was present. When the lights came on at the end, there wasn't a dry eye in the audience. An elderly gentleman approached Emily. "My dear, I haven't seen my brother in 40 years. Do you think it's still possible to find him?" "Sir," replied Emily, "as long as there is love, it is always possible." This phrase became the official motto of the Robert Johnson Foundation. 15 years after the discovery of the letters, Emily was in the barn organizing documents when she found something that had gone unnoticed all these years, a floorboard that was slightly out of place. Lifting it, she discovered a small compartment with one last envelope. On the front it was written, "For when you understand that the greatest legacy I can leave is the love that exists between you." Emily called her siblings, who came running. Together they opened their father's last gift. It was a photo of all of them together, taken when the 3 oldest were children, and Emily hadn't been born yet. But in the photo, a cutout of baby Emily's face had been pasted, creating an image of the complete family that had never existed in reality. On the back of the photo, a message was written. "This is the family I always dreamed of having. Together, you are capable of moving mountains and healing hearts. Never forget that. With eternal love, Dad." "He made a montage," said Daniel, laughing through tears. "Even after he's gone, he still manages to surprise us," said Michael. "I think this was the real surprise," said Emily. "He knew that one day we would find each other." Sarah held the photo carefully. "Now the family is complete forever." At that moment, the 4 siblings understood that the journey that had begun with Emily cleaning the barn after their father's departure had never truly ended. With every family reunited through the foundation, every smile of reunion, every tear of joy, they were honoring Robert Johnson's legacy. The love he had secretly planted for years had blossomed into a tree with thousands of branches, reaching families across the country. Emily looked around the barn, now transformed into the center of a national foundation, decorated with photos of hundreds of reunited families, and smiled. "Daddy," she whispered, "we managed to understand your lesson. Love never dies. It just sometimes needs to be rediscovered." A gentle breeze came through the window, as if it were a loving response from someone who always knew that, in the end, love would always win. End of story. And you, dear listener, what did you think of this family love story? Have you ever been through a similar situation or know someone who reunited with long-lost relatives? Leave your opinion in the comments and share your experiences. Did Emily make the right choice by insisting on reuniting the family? Your story might inspire others. Thank you so much for your company, and don't forget to leave your like and subscribe to the channel for more heartwarming stories like this one.